sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. If this is your first time of coming across channel, sweetheart, kindly smash that subscribe button, turn your notification so you are notified each time I upload, and please give this video a thumb up. I appreciate you all so much, and I am saying a very big shout out to every one of you for all the love and support you all shower me here with. I am grateful, and you are super sweet. So today's video, you are gonna enjoy it. So first of all, okay, this young lady has always been on Black people's business and all that. And so she tried today, and she effed around and she found out. And I love to say things like this, you know. And somebody asked her, it is too bad. It's too bad they didn't teach Europeans how to cook flavored food, right? So she actually made a video saying that that Europeans don't have to use 50 different spices on their food to make their food edible, right? And this video, I think she probably did it like she wanted to do white things and it caught up with her. I mean, she got lots of stitches on this video and people were asking her, so you actually do not even know your own history. How Europeans colonized almost every country or like continent just because they were looking for spices. And then when they found out that other people have started seasoning their food, they turn around and say, no way, we can't be seasoning our food. It's good to eat your food without being seasoned, because they still want to maintain that status. They still want to maintain that number one, like, you know, it is European now, like, you know, they are the standard, right? Black people aren't having it. They actually came for her real good. And then, okay, am I telling you, they massively reported her account and they banned her accounts, like she got no. And then she actually opened a new one to make a video that she actually did this video not to be read to the sea, but the video gets at the wrong side of TikTok. That is Black people's side of TikTok, the American side of TikTok. And they got her video, taking that and banned her account. I love to see things like this. F around and find out. I am just rolling this clip. We'll come back to talk about it. I absolutely want to read all your comments. Let me know what you all think in the comments. So shut up, let's go.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
Wait, was that supposed to be a read? Did you think you ate with that one? Europeans also didn't take showers on a daily basis. Didn't they take like showers like once a year? Do you know what happens when you don't wash your perineal area every day? You get sick and die. Didn't they have plagues due to the fact that they did not like to take showers? Didn't that cause a couple plagues that they had over there? I don't understand what you're trying to flex on. They didn't season their food. They didn't take baths. And even some of the descendants are still doing these same things today. What is that? How's that a flex? That's embarrassing. Imagine not taking a shower during your menstrual cycle. And they didn't get their menstrual cycle once a year. They got it every month. The women did. And they did not take showers every day, even while on their menstrual cycle. So, didn't take showers, was eating food that wasn't edible. You should be embarrassed. You should really, really be embarrassed.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
Listen, Sophie, okay, hi. So let me just stay straight up. We're not in any disagreement here. The fact that you're saying that you didn't have to season the meat to make it edible. But in that statement, with which you seem to be flexing, we are also fully aware that you didn't have to do anything to the meat to make it edible, did you? To make anything edible, as you would eat anything and anyone, right? Yes. You didn't even have to make sure that the meat was not human, right? Or that it was unalived, right? Yes, you would bite anything and everyone, right? Exactly. So the fact that you are talking to us and telling us that it's not seasoned meat and is edible, we are a little bit confused in the fact that we know that you guys would eat anything and anyone, right? Even your pets, the rats. And also, speaking of the fact of what you ate, not procuring in any way until learned behavior that you stole from the Africans, you did not have to make sure that the meat was not diseased, as you did with the rats that were your pets, but then you started to bite. But you didn't know in that they would bite back. They bit and then didn't know that they would bite back, right? And then with the bubonic plague that almost took you out, right? And then the same Africans that you guys, we are fully aware that your collective 8 had to come and save the day. Do you remember that? Remember that? Remember from the same people that you traveled the globe to go steal the spices from. But you know what? I'm not thinking about it. Don't think about it. I'm wondering if you really went for the spices, or did you just go for the humans to see the different flavors in humans that you could eat? And even in the rats that you ate, the disease, bacteria, the disease that you absorbed and spread across the globe. All I can ask is moving forward in all your lack, with all of you all's lack of procurement, right? In anything, in anyone, anything and everything that you devour. Please, we just put a little bit in there in terms of not eating things with disease, right? So that you all don't incorporate the disease and spread it continuously across the globe like you did before. All the genocides that were participated that you think you conquered, but in fact it was bacillus. In fact, it was bacillus that did the job for you. That did the job for you, wasn't it? Yes, it was the syphilis. It was the syphilis, wasn't it? How did you get that? Was it the goats? It was that. Was it the goats? It was the goats, wasn't it? Okay, it's the sheep, goats and the sheep, wasn't it? It was. Did you conquer them too? Them too. You did. Okay. Let's divert from the seasonings. That's easy. We know that. But we need to accept the fact that we are not shocked and surprised by any of these things that you're saying. We are not shocked and surprised that you do not have to do anything to meat to eat it. Okay? We know from experience and history that you guys ate us. You ate us, boo. So that's why today you guys are still, but today you're still describing us as food, right? Yeah, okay? And you can fight in history all you want to try to make yourself, I guess, flex in the fact that you have to do anything to eat it. We're fully aware that you guys went into corners, sat down and shat, and ate the shit. And then you ate the shit. So you guys, like I said, would eat anything. So the fact that you're not seasoning it to make something edible is not a shock and surprise to us. We know that you would eat absolutely everything and anyone, okay? And in that understanding that you would not have to procure the meat, season it or anything, that you would eat anything. Moving forward, just know this. We are not in disagreement. You all can continue, like I said, to eat shit. Anyways, darling, in all the flexes of history that you could possibly do, just all the history lessons that you could possibly do, please don't leave out what you guys did in the corners with the doo-doo. Don't forget about the doo-doo. Please don't leave out the doo-doo with the doo-doo. Okay, bye, boo. One more thing before tea hour. Come. Thing before tea hour, I can only ask. It's a small ask. As we know, we can't stop you guys from going in the corners and eating. After you've eaten the shit that you shat, please wash ass. At least, after you eat the shit that you shat, please, can you all wash ass? Wash ass. Wash ass. And with that, goodbye, my love. Goodbye, my love. Goodbye, darling. Goodbye, my love. Ta-ta, darling. Ta, darling. So anyways, darling, have a disease-free, invested and infested day. Okay, thank you.
Hey guys, so my main account got banned. It was pretty much inevitable. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner, to be honest. But I'll tell you why. My video where I said Europeans didn't need to use 50 different spices to make their meat edible ended up on a certain side of American TikTok, if you know what I mean. And they did not like it. So last night when I went to bed, I had about 100 stitches already of people going, "You don't even know your own history. Europeans colonized the entire world and killed and did this and that and this and that for spices." Yeah, absolutely correct. And I never said that Europeans didn't have spices. I was simply referencing a very well-known, undeniable historical fact, which is that spices were used to cover up the rotting stench and taste of meat. There is a myth, or rather a theory, that the rise in demand of spices in Europe was as a result of us not having any preserving techniques. Obviously, we didn't have refrigerators yet. So we were simply copying the other countries' preservation techniques, and that's why we wanted all their spices to preserve our meat. It's simply not true. I think people forget that there are a lot of different countries in Europe, some of which are extremely cold. They devised refrigeration techniques thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. Obviously, they forget that flies out of the window. They just want to make it a race war, something which I didn't do, but they decided to make it into that. I was simply referencing history. They decided to make it into a white supremacy issue, of course. They then went and mass reported all my videos, and the funniest thing is they reported my least controversial videos, so my account ironically got taken down for the most fucking stupid videos. It did make me laugh, to be honest. But anyways, if you are one of those people who mass reported me and you thought I was gonna crumble and go, "Oh no, whatever shall I do? All my followers are gone," you really don't understand the goal of my videos. I'm not doing this for fame or any other reason. Of course, my goal is beyond your comprehension. That's because you do not relate to me. You cannot physically relate to me, and that's absolutely fine. But for those of you who followed me for quite a while, you exactly know and understand my motives and that they were very good and that I never set out to upset anyone. But if I did, I don't care. It's not my fault you can't face the truth. I know a lot of people will wrap you up in cotton wool and tell you what you want to hear, but I talk facts, not feelings. So here I am. Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
Hello, Sophia. Of course your name's Sophia. Of course it is. I'm Ace. I'm here to actually educate you and why keeping your mouth shut's actually a really good idea if you don't know anything. Yeah. Fun fact, I don't know if anyone educated you, but the reason why Europeans in modern days don't use many spices is because they genetically forgot how to, love. It's not because they're better. It's because they literally forgot. It's in your bloodline to not know how to use spices. Quick history lesson, yeah? Back in the 1600s, I'm sure it's the 1600s, Europeans were actually well known for using the most spices. Why? Because they were exploiting everyone. I mean, they were rich and they were capable of affording these spices. They were actually known for being quite extravagant with them. There were stews that are actually still talked about today with all of the different spices in them. And your people actually wanted to use them all the time because they were a symbol of status and elitism and prestige and so on and so forth and blah, blah, blah. Well, inevitably, spices, because of the demand, were flooding into Europe, and eventually, everyone was able to use them, making them no longer expensive and special for your people to separate themselves with. And because they became common, your people decided that they didn't want to be associated with the commoners, so they stopped using them. Quite literally, stopped using them. You haven't actually had a working knowledge of how cooking food works for eons, quite literally. Love, cooking food is actually a molecular experience. It goes down to the fucking molecules, and using spices to combine flavors, to create new flavors, to stimulate the senses while you eat food is how you're supposed to cook food. So if you can't do it, it's because your ancestors made you forget. This is not a flex, babe. Not a flex, babes. It's not. Stop talking. Honestly. Quiet. The fuck are you on about? My stars. You alright, mate? Wow. I hate you fucking Brits. Jesus Christ.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
This is how I know you don't even know your own history. Europeans actually did enjoy spices. That's the reason why a lot of the trades were actually started, so that you could have spices for rich people to have on their food. But as spices became normalized and easily accessible to the common folk, rich people stopped using them on their foods. Google it. It's true. So the reason why so many European people have flavorless food is because they did not want to be considered poor, because poor people were using spices. In Europe, I'm going to add in Europe, because in indigenous cultures, they were spicing it up. We were spicing it up. We like a little taste to our food. It's not our fault that you guys decide to move in such a way that you deprive yourself of lovely things such as fucking spices. It's weird. It's weird how you said that without even knowing your own history. I'm American and I know that. Shameful.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
And that is why, whenever I meet you for the first time, or whoever you are, I ask you, do you season your food? And if the reply is no, understand, we'll be cool, but I am never going to your house to eat food or come for dinner. I don't care. Yeah, I said it, but just that alone is a red flag to me. I'll come to your house, but I'll Uber Eats. just to be on the safe side. But that's it. I'm just keeping that real.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
I really, for the life of me, will never understand the Avalopians, because y'all literally colonized an entire country and made them for the spices. Like, y'all colonized an entire country for their spices, right? Just to turn around and be like, nope. Just to turn around and be like, nope. Rather than infusing food with spice, they said things should taste like themselves. Meat should taste like meat. It doesn't make any sense.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
Wait, didn't Europeans straight up colonize the entire planet for spices? Weren't their first use of spices mainly to preserve their meats? Because they didn't know how to preserve their food without them? Edible according to whom? Talking about, because some of y'all season your food. Like the Spanish definitely do last time I checked. Have you had Greek food? It is seasoned and it's delicious. Get a hot pepper burn your mouth and now you're mad at all the spices. Oh.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
Before we get into this video, can we talk about this little halo light on the front facing camera? She is cute. Not super duper bright, but she does what she's supposed to do, and I'm here for that. Sometimes I don't want to use my ring light. Like a floodlight, like I'm bringing in planes. It's bright as hell. Anywho, any Will and Grace fans in the house? Cute. Even if you're not, I'm going to explain this episode. So there's an episode of Will and Grace, like OG Will and Grace, not the reboot Will and Grace. I'm like, oh, one, where like Will finds out that his daddy is cheating on his mama, and instead of actually confronting the issue with his daddy, he invites his daddy mistress over and they have like this dinner party. And like Grace is like freaking out, like, why are you doing this? And he gives Grace strict instructions not to say nothing at the dinner. And they all having this generic ass, normal ass conversation like ain't nothing going on. And Grace is looking around traumatized. And eventually like, Grace, you okay? And she's just like, I feel like I'm in a society where everyone is a pig and they all think pigs are pretty, but she's the real pretty one. And they think she's ugly because she's not a pig and they think all pigs are pretty. That analogy right there, that's what this video in that comment section is giving, child. You know what? I'm gonna go there. We love to make fun of the American education system. And I mean, let me keep it a bean. It's not all that fanciful. They don't really teach us much. We are aware of that. But it's just baffling to me that is one of the main talking points that often comes out of the UK when they be liking to diss Americans. Yet we are grossly unaware that the reason you don't know how to season your meat beyond salt and pepper is because of classism. Negative 10 points from Gryffindor.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
It amazes me how racists and homophobes will deny themselves all kinds of pleasure just to maintain the figment of whatever sort of superiority they have. Imagine hating flavor because non-Europeans are flavorful. Like, just come on board. You stole all the spices. You stole them for a reason. Why not use them? Shit's goofy. Peace.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
Posts like these are always funny to me because historically Europeans were heavily invested in the spice trade and later into colonialism and imperialism because of spices, right? They saw the value in seasoning their food. They saw the value in spices as currency. The problem came in when they realized that the people they were taking those spices from, those things from, weren't giving up their cultures. They weren't giving up their own traditions around those things. And what happens as a result is that Europeans of a certain class and color then decide that what's really refined is to not need those things, that it's low class to eat that way. Why did it become low class? Because when wealthy Europeans were the only ones who could afford spices, they could feel privileged. When everyone else could afford those spices too, or have access to those spices, then it became the standard to say that blander food was healthier, that blander food was better. And this is a explicitly white supremacist narrative. And it didn't just happen in Europe, but Europeans have held on to it more than Americans have. But you're talking about a eugenics-based rhetoric around food, and you don't even realize it.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
I know that you think that you just had a gotcha moment, and it's a great talking point. It is. It's a good one even. If history, in fact, didn't exist. See, after scouring the globe to collect spices like they were Pokemon cards, you want to know why aristocratic Europeans stopped using a plethora of spices? Pricing and accessibility. They were being priced and made accessible to the common man, woman, and non-binary person of the time. So, to make themselves still feel hoity-toity and above everyone else, they kept saying, if it's a better cut of meat, if it's grown better, you don't need all of that. And through the years, they've convinced you that having no taste was a sign of elegance.
50 different...
Europeans did not have to put 50 different spices to make their food edible, but they definitely did colonize every fucking country and go after every fucking body else to get those spices. Guns, Germs, and Steel talks about that. People's History of the United States talks about that. Africa from the 1800s talks about that. So where you don't want to give credence where credence is due, all your ancestors do is colonize, pilgrim, rape, and murder folks. This is educational and historical. You can go look it up yourself.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
Last I checked, Europeans, people in Europe, conquered literally almost the earth looking for spices. And as soon as people of color, black people, Asian people, Latino people started using those spices to make their food edible, because y'all motherfuckers wanted to be the ones who were, oh, we're the best, blah, 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 blah. Fuck y'all. But once they got a hold of those spices, y'all actually thought, like, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, spices aren't good for us. Because y'all want to still seem superior, and that's some fucked up ass shit, bitch.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
And that's the reason why you don't eat at everybody's house. The UK, as well as Germany, France, and Italy, are four of the biggest importers of herbs and spices in Europe. And there is a reason why. Because them now have no flavour. But yeah, you stay with your cold, unseasoned chicken breast from Tesco's.
Europeans didn't have to put 50 different spices on their meat just to make it edible.
Fun fact, what you just said is a white supremacist talking point. Oops. And I looked through your page, that's definitely on brand for you. The funny thing is that came from when white people, especially British people, went and colonized places all over the world, ironically for the sake of spices, because they were valuable. And then they came to a realization that people who season their food are usually those inferior types. And so they created this idea that, well, our palates are so refined that we don't need spices on our food. We can appreciate the natural flavors. And that's why rich people and white people act like you don't need seasoning on your food. And it just, as a British person, you should really not be trying to act like you're superior for not seasoning your food. Britain's food is not known for being good. Like, have you been just living in a cave in England somewhere where you're not aware of how much of a laughingstock British food tends to be? Anyway, just the point is what you said was racist. And it sucks. And unfortunately, I would tell you to do better, but I don't think you know how.
So this is all I got from the stitches. I mean, there are so many stitches to this video, but then I decided to bring these ones. And let me start by saying she actually, you all know that she actually came to shade, like, black people and other people, right? But it did not go well. It didn't go in her favor. And then she came out to, say some crazy things, like, that her video went to the other side of American TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Oh my goodness. It is amazing how these people will do so many horrible things, do some certain things because they want to be at the top. Only for them to find that, oh, yeah, other people are doing the same thing. Man, we don't have to, to turn around and, make it the other way around because they want to continue to be. And then somebody will come and tell me everything is not about race. I don't want to hear, don't even think of it. Sis, bro, everything is all about race. And you know one thing I love about black people? These days, black people aren't even talking too much. Like when you mess around with, mess around and F around and find out. I mean, everything got consequences. I mean, there is freedom of speech, but the consequences after your speech is something that is not guaranteed. She came to mess around and then she found that, I mean, they massively reported her account and they banned her account. So she actually she opened a new one, came out to say that some people don't understand where she's coming from, that she is not ready to the season, that it was just people not understanding her and all that. No, she actually came to play her card thinking that it was gonna favor her as usual. You know how colored people always come around and they want to do things to see how it's gonna go, it's gonna always be in our favor. And this one did not go well for her. This is one of those, failed missions. So this particular one failed woefully. Her account has been taken down. She is starting all over afresh. Oh my God. I love to see things like this. Just a normal fight. Black people pull their armor straight up and give it to her. I love to see it. So you can imagine, with all the people they colonize, looking for spices, wanting spices and all that, they ended up getting the spices only for them to turn around and see that other people are also seasoning their food. And then, man, now it looks like it is only for, it is just the poor people that season their food and they don't want to be part of that poor people. And they turn around to say, no, you don't have to season your food. You have to really cook it that way so you get the taste and all that. I mean, quest to be at the top. I mean, just to tell you guys that, you see, thank God for history. And the fact that history is always documented is just another wonderful thing. Because if all these were not documented, they will always come around here and shit around and F around and find out. She actually came to show her white supremacy, but then it caught up with her and she is telling consequences of your action. I love to say things like this. You don't know, see how I am smiling. Thank you so much for all the support. This is where I am going to draw the curtain and I am going to see you all in my next video. Bye for now.